Alright, so here I am. I just got finished with a clean, and I'm going to be going up into the jerk. The jerk is where we go from the rack position, which I'm in now, and we bring the barbell up into the overhead position. This is going to be the split jerk. The split jerk is the most common way of getting underneath the barbell. There is a power jerk too, but I'm not going to go over that one here. We're just going to look at just the split. I would recommend for most people to use the split jerk. There are some exceptions, but for most people the split jerk should work just fine. All right, so again we've got this vertical line to the floor, and as I go to dip down, I want the barbell to follow, the end of that barbell to follow this orange line. So we're going to take a look at a few things. We're going to see what's happening on my feet here. We're going to watch the torso. And we're going to see what happens to that barbell. So we're just going to progress this thing forward. So we're going to come down. Here's my dip. Okay. So there's the low position of my dip. A lot of times I get the question, how low am I supposed to go? It shouldn't be very far. It would be the same distance that you go down as if you were to jump up onto a high box. So imagine you're jumping onto something high, you're standing on 2 feet. When you dip down and then jump up onto that box, how low do you actually go? That should be pretty close to the same depth that you would go in your jerk. It's not a squat. A lot of people think that they need to squat down and they end up going a little bit too low. So again, imagine you're going to jump up onto a high box. That's how low you should go. Everybody's going to be a little different based on limb length. So all right, so here's the bottom of my dip. The other thing, when you go down into your dip, I want you to notice the weight distribution on the feet here. When you go down into the dip, you want the weight to be on the heel of the foot. If I back this thing up again and I go back to my standing position, so this is my start position, now I'm going to bring it forward again into my dip and watch the weight distribution on my feet. So as you can see, for the most part, I'm weight on the heels, and it looks like just at the very end of the dip, I start to roll up onto the toes a little bit. Okay, so even at the bottom position of your dip, you don't want to roll forward on the toes. So I would say that that's going to be a fault, and if this weight was any heavier, it would be pretty difficult for me to get. It would probably come forward as I drive. So not bad, but you can see just that little bit of a drift forward at the bottom of my dip. Okay, so now as I'm coming up, I'm going to initiate my drive through the heel of my foot. So I'm staying on the heel of the foot through my dip. I'm staying on the heel of the foot as I start coming back up. And then it's not until I start coming back up that I come up onto the toes. So again, if you see that, I'll try to slow it down a little bit. I'm going to come out of the dip, driving through the heels, and finishing on the toes. Okay? So as soon as I get to the toes, as soon as I'm fully extended, right, then I go into my split. And my split just means that one foot is going to go forward and one foot's going to go back. Okay. So a couple things to look for here with your split position. All right. Your split position, the lower leg of the forward foot. So I'm talking about this leg right here. That shin angle should be a perfect 90 degrees. And in my case, the knee is too far forward. All right. So again, not a great split position. What I could do to fix this thing is if I would have pushed that foot forward just a little bit more, right, that would have straightened that, made that shin a little bit more vertical to the floor. So as you're going into your split, you want to make sure that that forward foot comes out far enough. Okay, I think it's a pretty common mistake for people not to split enough, and then you see this type of shin angle where the knee is out over the toe. All right. The back leg, if you'll notice, I'm up on the toe, which is good. That's how you want to be. And you also want a bend in that knee. So there should be a little bit of a bend in this knee as well. Okay. Again, if I would have split a little bit wider, you'd see a little bit more of a bend in that knee. And again, this weight was pretty light, so when I received the barbell, I was able to catch it pretty high. I didn't go down very low. But when that weight gets heavier, my hips would have to be down lower, so a wider split would have been good, and that back knee where I have the green circle would be bent and closer to the floor. Okay. All right. So those are just some things to look at. The other thing I just want to point out here quick is that bar path with the dip and the drive. We want that bar to follow in a straight line. And I took the straight line off here. I'm going to redraw the straight line. Okay. So when I do my dip and my drive, I'm backing it up here to get back to the start position. Okay, here's my start position. Barbell is on the line. As I dip, that barbell should stay on the line. And you see it drifts forward a little bit. And again, I think some of that has to do with that, well, the camera was moving a little bit here, but at the bottom position where I kind of roll onto the toes a little bit early. All right. And then as I come out of the drive, see how that barbell goes forward a little bit. And again, it's not bad, but it's a pretty light weight for me, right? So through that dip in the drive, you want that barbell to stay right on that line. And really what's going to tell ultimately is what's happening in the feet. If you're dipping down onto the toes, odds are that barbell is going to be coming forward. So your feet are a big indicator of kind of what's happening with the upper body. So that's why it's real important when you're doing not only the jerk but all of the Olympic lifts to really focus on what's happening in your feet as you're performing these lifts. The feet tell a big tale of what's happening to the barbell. All right, we'll do some more jerk videos coming up here because there's plenty of other stuff to talk about, but that's just a good starter. All right, go out and practice.